Yes, let's. All right, everybody, welcome. We're back for another enlightening conversation. Yeah, there's already been some mirth in the warm-up chat, but here we are today to talk about. It's not about Slack. We're here to talk about all sorts of issues about grabbing that new community building tool, that space, that chat box inside the project or project management thread, even in the project management software, if you have that. Any of these things, just because those things exist doesn't mean they're being used or implemented. And then, of course, if it's your answer to solving what happens between your out-of-house contractors and your in-house people, it's not going to do that either. And I think that's the first thing I want to talk about today, like hit it right now in the preamble. These like text box thingies are isolating, they are disconnecting, they are sold to us as a way that's going to help keep our people, locked in step together and all moving in the same direction and happy to see each other and recognizing some smiling face on the Zoom. And they don't really fulfill on that in the slightest. So, we're here to unpack this stuff and hopefully arrive at a place where we can talk about cadence, about the things that you can do that establish a certain rhythm and create a certain space and build that magical C word culture where people actually connect, have a sense of team, and work together in the same way and in the same direction. I am going to do one quick name drop to finish the preamble. I was inspired by this years ago. The 37 Signals people who built Basecamp and a bunch of other stuff did write a brilliant book called Remote. And they do kind of know what they're doing because nobody has ever lived in the same city, and most of them not even in the same country or continent, and yet they've built some pretty successful stuff over the years. So if you do want to really dig into that, that's one of the places that I'd go and look. But we'll spend the rest of today kind of at least touching the surface of that stuff and peeling back the layers. So where do you want to start with this stuff, Rob?
Well, so often I want to start with kind of the what goes wrong, which ultimately becomes the why, right? The so what's in it for me, however you want to phrase it.
Right.
Because too many orgs, in my opinion, were caught off guard by COVID. Their leaders didn't know how to build community. It just happened because people were co-located. So then when they weren't, they had a sense of loss. The community didn't have any means to maintain its modes of communication, its actual fabric of the community, right? And then too many got really rigid about, well, this tool is a business tool, so we're going to only put like this channel is about strategy and this channel is about engagement and this, we don't need a dog channel, right?
Yes.
Well, actually, you do need a dog channel. That's kind of the point. That's one of the things you can do to keep a community together. Is you could give up the fallacy of 100% productivity and realize that if you give people the dog channel, they actually give you more productivity. You give voluntary engagement productivity. You get more than 100%, more than 40 hours a week voluntarily, right? So the ROI on the dog channel is big.
Yes.
Yeah, I watch too many people shoot themselves in the foot with that stuff, like just completely overzealous governance and like thou shalt not, thou shalt not, thou shalt not. And then I'll name drop positively here. When I worked at Abbott, they actually did this the right way. They have the opposite problem though, right? Such a big company, very hard to establish a sense of community and belonging. Yes, we all work for this brand, but that's not a community either. You can't know 48,000 people. You can't know 120,000 people. So it's like, how do you give people some sense of belonging? Well, they had in their systems a dog channel, a cat channel, right? A quilting channel, a special interest channels that people could belong to. They had channels for every special interest group, veterans, right? Women in business, right? Various minorities, right? All marginalized groups. Let's just go that route, right? Like all of that. So there was something there for everyone to connect with. And there are Venn diagrams of overlap between all those things. So then people could say, do I feel like I have a community at work? Yes. I have friends at work. I have colleagues I trust at work. I feel connected emotionally. I feel connected intellectually. So if you don't do these things, then you just get people who work together, but there is no community, right? They're all just people sitting in their basements or at their kitchen tables or outside, whatever, wherever you work, right? In a remote or hybrid environment. And then when they do get together, there's no relationship. Nobody cares. Yeah.
I think you touched on something really, really, really super important, because the community built in the first iteration was a get to, but it's kind of a have to, because the have to is you have to show up at work.
Right.
And I agree with you. The top down, like, we're going to put this tool in place so that we can have community. I'm trying to copy your voice, but the implementer voice, right?
Right.
And it's like, well, what does the community do? Hang out at the water cooler when they're thirsty, obviously, but to chat, and it's hard to talk over the cubicle wall. And what are they talking about? Dogs,
right?
Cats,
family,
quilts.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I agree, like that, those things are the way and the place and the thing to focus on, and to really ram more productivity down their throats by giving them a place that they have to look, and assuming that they're interested. And if they're not, let's just give them 147 notifications just in case. I've watched something like this roll out very recently inside of a community,
right.
Well-intentioned with the goal of productivity. And yeah, every time I log in, I'm like, oh, there's that red box and that number that I will continue to ignore, because now it's almost a victory thing to see how high the count can get. Right? It's like I don't know, procrastinators odometer.
If we share that, Jacob, I'm at 24,251. And I'm trying to see if I can get it to 6 digits.
Genius. Genius. The thing I'm talking about is brand new, so I can only see 77 messages I have not clicked through to read yet. But
yeah,
it's the first month, so pretty much guaranteed I'll be at 1,200 next year.
Right. There's a certain amount of, call it, disparity in noise too that you need to overcome, right? Could I be in Slack? Could I be in Discord? Do I need to be on Teams? Do I need to be on Google? Do I need personal how many different messaging clients can one person manage? There's a limit, right? Social media, like it's just so much.
God forbid you end up in a place where they choose more than one. Because then you've got the cognitive load as well, right? Like our project management software has chat built into it.
Right.
And so for us, that was the full stop, because for goodness sakes, if we can't even use that properly, why should we add on another chat messenger tool?
Right. Why are we going to go with Slack? What are we doing?
Yeah. Like it's just adding noise to the noise.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Miraculous.
Yeah.
Community. So how do we create community? Let's go back there, because I think we've done enough criticism. What sort of problems should we solve so that we can find a tool that fits it? So you touched on a really important piece, which I, produced a decent tangent off of. It's not about work, it's about people.
Right.
But how would you deepen that besides having differentiated channels for cats and dogs? Because we know those people, they're not lovers of both usually.
Yeah. So I almost want to have, I'll do a bit of shout out here to Todd Nielsen. Like literally his job is as a community builder and curator, right? So he would be the ideal guest for this call. Maybe if we redo this call in the future, bring him on as a guest. I'd love to hear his answer too. But I think it's not one of those groups, it's not two of those groups, but it's both the groups in the software and the nature of the occasions that you associate outside the software, right? That's adding call it an IRL component. So do the veterans at Abbott have a set of quarterly get-togethers where they all just buy lunch and eat together? Yes. Right? So if you're in an office, if you're in a location, it's known throughout the company, this is the day the veterans are going to have lunch together. Same for all the other groups, right? You just pick a day, it goes on the big corporate calendar. And if you want to do that, you want to be more connected IRL, you just go and you do it. So that some amount of facilitating, or indeed to a greater extent, hosting, curating, right? Those kinds of events can help people build community. When we used to do the leadership development program where I worked, we had one of the big outcomes was networking, which is kind of an applied subset of community. How do we make our aspiring and growing leaders part of the community of the board members? How do we get them known and connected? Well, we had a networking night where we had dinner and a little bit of alcohol. People could be real humans, a little bit of social lubrication. Did it always go perfectly? No, there are plenty of people who ruin their careers, right? But there's an overwhelming majority of people who sees the opportunity to sit down with a board member, have a realistic talk with them about who they are, what they care about, get to know them. That's part of building community too. So that's just my initial thoughts. What else could we do? Like in a super far away digital world, how do we build community. I always, with my hybrid workforce, I think I've said this before on other calls. We had a Friday coffee call. We had a Tuesday night cocktail hour. These are not working meetings, right? These are social meetings to help people be connected. So, golf leagues, other sports leagues, softball teams, right? Like clubs, Big Brothers, Big Sisters. We started I was at S&C. We rolled that out, made that part of the culture there. You'd be amazed at the impact that had on pulling a community together of people who really cared about kind of underprivileged children who didn't have two-parent households, right? Like,
yeah,
that's shared purpose, right?
That's absolutely brilliant. You kind of made me start thinking a little bit, and even just something as simple as whatever your local version of Habitat for Humanity is, because it's just a weekend.
Right.
You don't have to leave the country for a month. You don't have to show up every Tuesday. It's just a weekend. But, there's a lot of studies and research in this. I've been doing a deep dive in all things vacations recently, and there's a guy who's done some brilliant research on it. And his hypothesis is book your ticket 8 months in advance, have the 8 months of anticipation, because all the studies say that 1 day of travel to get there, that 1 day of travel to get back, totally stressful. Yep. The actual time away, not that enlightening. People are the happiest getting ready and telling the story for the next 2 years.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, and he is completely against extended stays for that reason. He's like, the more 1 week trips you take per year, the better, because the trip is the least enjoyable part of the thing.
That's what makes a long weekend so enjoyable.
Yes.
Just go away for a night. Oh, the anticipation. Oh,
yeah.
This much anticipation, this much suffering, right?
Yes. Yeah. 14 hours of travel, including sitting in ferry lineups and whatever. Oh. And so, creating that space where people get to share those things with each other, to tell their stories, to have that environment. Because I think some of the other stuff that you're talking about, it's all this environment where you've got a longer opportunity to go into a sidebar without somebody giving you the, like, are you planning to get back to work look.
Right.
That's community building.
So take it all the way to the poisonous, toxic extent of the community is so rigid, the word police run around correcting everything you're saying all the time. Right?
Yeah.
Well, we don't say supplier. We don't say vendor. We say partner. Right? They have all this like tribal language. So if you take community too far and it becomes tribalistic, when it becomes a closed society, that's also not a community that is healthy, right? That becomes toxic, it becomes very hard for people to join and belong to, right? To gain a sense of acceptance and belonging. So it can go too far. It can have an ugly side if you get too rigid about it. Don't let your ego get too grand about it, right? Yes, it's the veterans group, but let's not start hosting parades and like don't overplay your hand, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So well said.
Yeah. Let's catch up with Todd after this and like.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'd love to speak to an expert on the subject, because I think you keep on touching this thing which isn't talked about enough. And it's like, how do we create situations that really let people be people? And, one of the examples you gave earlier, put them in a natural setting. What's that? Dinner and a cocktail.
Right.
Right? It's going to make them feel not at work. It's going to make them feel more relaxed. It's going to give them that sense of like, this is leisure time. Get to know the people around you.
Get a couple bags games or a couple. When we did that networking assessment with that networking program with the board of directors, we had a jumbo Jenga set.
Nice.
Right?
Yeah.
And I had a sign that went next to the jumbo Jenga set. We ask every graduate of the leadership development program to autograph a piece, right? One side of one 2x4, write your name on it and something inspirational, right? So how many facets do you have, right? Each piece has those 6 sides. People would indeed write on all 6 sides of every piece of a jumbo Jenga. It was grand. Well, that's instant community, right? My name is enshrined in the jumbo Jenga set. That goes to every single leadership development networking meeting from here on. Right? There's an immortality to that.
Right.
Yeah. And then they could play together with other people they didn't normally play with. It was exciting. It was fun. It gives an objective shared experience, right? Other than, you don't have to be nervous about talking to the person when you're playing a game with them. So, yeah, we intentionally structured, simple, engaging, right? Things that offered social value, emotional value, intellectual value. Put people in the right place, gave them a little bit of lubricant.
Mm-hmm.
Voila. Now people can get to know each other. Yeah.
Love it. So one of the ways to make people feel safe in community building is to get them away from work.
Yep.
And give the environment where it supports community, because there's no work to be done.
Right.
What do we implement at work? Like, what can be done first to make it easier, scaling down, like inside of the workspace, but maybe still after hours? And then the next question I'm going to ask after that is inside working hours.
I've seen people try to do these things and do really bad things, right? Like all the right intent, poorly implemented.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to host a rally for this group in the demonstration center from this hour to this hour. And everyone who supports them should try and show up. Well, the fire code has a sign on the wall that says that room only holds 200 people. The company is 3,000 people. Socially, you don't want to be seen as somebody who doesn't support these people.
Yeah, I actually saw a very simple version of that recently. This is actually a close friend who they mandated the identifiers at work.
Right.
And she ended up going to management and saying, you realize you are forcing me to come out against my will.
Yes.
Right? And it still didn't go over well. The people were like, but you see how we're supporting you? And it's like, no, I don't see that.
I don't, not at all.
I do not feel supported.
Right. So then it became like a fish tank, right? It's like,
yeah,
put all the people like this in this place.
Yeah.
And if you're not one of them, you can't go. So it becomes exclusive, right?
Yeah.
Well, it turns out there was more than 200 of those kinds of people. So they didn't even fit in the dang room.
Yes.
Right. So it was just a disaster. It's all the right intent, but no real diligence or thought. It was just
absolutely.
It's just awful. Yes. If as soon as you mandate and you're forcing people to out themselves or forcing belonging or like come on. Give people some autonomy, some privacy if they want it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
My father-in-law worked at a place where they established a cultural norm where everyone put like iconography below their nameplate outside their office that said who they were and who they were friendly to. Well, flip that over conversely.
Why didn't they just give them an armband?
Then you're not friendly, right? It turns.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Right? Oh my goodness.
Right. We just have armbands. Let's all get funny little mustaches.
Yes.
Right? Like it's they don't even think through what they're doing. You just want to label people and you want to like stop it. Stop.
Because you know, God forbid you end up in the wrong Slack channel as well.
Right.
Right. Let me drop something. I don't know a lot about community building, but I do know a little bit about how our minds work and how our brains function. And so honestly, for me, the way it was explained, the way I've started to make sense of this stuff is just simply how this very simple thing functions. I, we, and it. And I think anybody who is concerned about community should try and create as many situations as possible where there is a we, and as few scenarios as possible where anyone inside of your team becomes an it of any sort. Because trust us, that's making them feel the opposite of whatever you're trying to do.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, there are it's where I guess that's a badge of honor. I'm a cat person. I'm a dog person. Right. But that's as far as you want it to go. And I do think some of the stuff you're saying, Rob, of like, if you go too deep into special interest, it does start to become an isolating experience for some of those who are in and some of those who are out.
Some of them, there might even be, call it the cost worth the benefit. Even if it's optional, it's not without cost, right? Like, say you're at work and you come up and you put out a cancer survivor group. Well, it's not quite as sensitive as some disclosures, but
right.
People might want to belong to that to get, you know, some empathetic connection, right? Like only people who have survived that can understand what it means to be a survivor. right? It's a very unique perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, in order to get that benefit, you have to out yourself.
Absolutely.
Carry some risk at work, right?
100%.
So you got to really be thoughtful about the groups and communities that you're creating. Not just do it from your perspective because of your intent, but think about the people who might actually belong and how they might feel about it. Maybe do a focus group and collect some opinions, right?
Well said. Yeah. I was going to go on a slightly different tangent. Don't ask them to publicize anything you wouldn't let them put on their desk.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it just all goes back to respect, right? Respect for people, being individual people, right? Complete human beings. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Community. Yeah.
And it is something that needs to be managed. It's not a set it and forget it. And just because you came up with topic ideas, labeled the different channels that, and walked away, does not mean it'll work.
Oh, it needs to be seeded. It needs to be governed. It needs to be curated. Right? There needs to be activity there that's valuable. Otherwise, it doesn't ever bloom. It doesn't become a thing, right? It takes a certain amount of push.
Yeah.
Or pull, rather. It's more like sled dog. It's more pull.
Yeah, well said. It definitely is a pull for it.
Yeah.
And back to your focus group statement, I bet if you go through that process first, you're going to find some champions who have enthusiasm and would love nothing more than to do some of that pulling.
Yes. Rally support, they'll be in there every day posting, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Interesting, valuable content.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. Your social promoters, absolutely critical. Yep. They are your lead sled dogs.
Absolutely.
Yeah. This is a great analogy.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think we did again. We gave people actually actionable do's and don'ts, what to watch out for, how it goes wrong, what to do. So yeah,
that is one of the goals.
Pick some ideas, try some things out, be willing and humble enough to get smarter every day, right?
100%.
Cool. Any final words for today's episode?
I don't think so. I thank you for being willing to start with the agenda and abandon it so that we could arrive to a place where we had something useful. I really appreciate that.
Oh, my pleasure.
I'll see you guys next time.